today's topic is aATP, Advanced Available-to-Promise Overview. That is today's topic. I would be going through it. And in the second part, we'll have a quick discussion and the question and answers. On the part, we are covering it onto the first part. If you have any questions, you would be able to ask. If you said, boss, mera question bahut detail mein hai, you can raise your hand. I will unmute you and then you would also be able to speak to ask your question. But that will happen in the second part. So the first part will go for almost 45 minutes to 1 hour. And then we'll be jumping into the topic specific question and answers. So once these first two part is over, then we'll be jumping into the third part. Third part would be the career counseling part. If you have any questions related to your career, you would be able to ask us into the third part during the career counseling sessions. Okay. I do a lot of one-to-one career counseling, which we have now shifted to 1-to-3, where you can go in my Calendly link and you can book the calendar. But people come to me and say that, boss Parminder, your calendar is full for next 2 months. We are not getting time. So I call the people that, okay, you can also come into the step-up circles, and last segment of the step-up circles, I would be helping you with your career related questions, that if you want to start a career in SAP, not happening, getting stuck with the interview calls, or already working as a consultant, but you're not sure how to upskill, or getting stuck in a company or a support project, what need to be done, all kind of career questions you would be able to ask at the end. Okay, so if the calendar is full, the solution is that you would be able to ask questions today at the end of the sessions. Once we complete the first part, second part, third segment is the career related questions. Feel free to ask questions to me in that segment. Okay. The people who want to check the calendar are my team, Aman and Bhupender. They would be sharing the links. They would be sharing my LinkedIn link, where you would be able to get connected with me. And they would also be sharing the link from where you would be able to check my calendar and book the calendar. But the people who are joining today, I would prefer that if you have any career related question, use today's time and ask your career related question at the end of the session. So if the calendar is full for Amit and for Gyana Sahu, if the calendar is full, today is the time you can ask the question. You can utilize step-up circle end part to ask your career related questions. Okay. Okay. So with that brief information, we'll be starting it up. The session. You would be getting a lot of relevant links over the chat. We have already shared the LinkedIn link, YouTube link. In YouTube, we have shared more than 500 plus videos over the YouTube, which you can go through it and access it for the SAP learnings. So the YouTube channel link is also available. LinkedIn also, we are creating on a daily basis. We are creating a lot of content. Every week, 2 or 3 good contents we try to share it over the LinkedIn. That also you can join us through the LinkedIn link. You can get connected with me. Okay, so let's start with today's topic. And today's topic, the first topic is Advanced Available-to-Promise. Okay, so we'll be covering this topic, Advanced Available-to-Promise. Now, why I am covering this topic and why Advanced Available-to-Promise? Now, Advanced Available-to-Promise was introduced. I will go into today would be the overview session on Advanced Available-to-Promise, but we'll be jumping into the detailed training. We are creating a separate training for Advanced Available-to-Promise, which will be almost for 10 to 12 hours. And that training we are starting from 29th of May, right? So Advanced Available-to-Promise, SAP introduced in 2016, but that is the part which has been grown now 2022. In last 6 years, it has grown a lot. A lot of things has been introduced it, and that become a kind of a bulky part in it itself. And with that growth, now we also seen, to me, in last couple of months, in last 3 months, I have received so many calls from the Europe and US for the freelancing consulting on aATP, Advanced Available-to-Promise, because in my LinkedIn profile, if you will see, I have mentioned aATP. So with that and the content which I have shared related to aATP, I got a lot of requirements for the aATP, and most of them are actually directly from the SAP European countries. They are having implementation with the clients, and they need a consultant to have, even they are ready for the working from any location. And the rates are also very good. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos. So now aATP is becoming a separate required segment where you will be requiring a specialized aATP consultants, right? A fresher cannot do it. Definitely, you need some experience, you need some understanding. SDPP consultants are the best one to go for the aATP, Advanced Available-to-Promise. So a lot of requirements are coming. That's why I want to do in this session, so that at least you have an overview of aATP. You know that there is a one stream available which you can utilize to grow further. Okay, to grow further, and there's a lot of requirements coming related to aATP. Okay, now let's quickly go ahead. People who are lost, this is the step up circle session. Step up circle we do every Sunday evening. That's what I explained initially what this session is. Ajay, maybe you have joined late, or this is not a continuation of the morning session. Morning sessions are different. This is the Advanced Available-to-Promise session in the step up circles. Okay. I always spend in step-up circles to have an initial explanation to you so that you can understand. A lot of people would be joining new, so that you can understand where you are. So that's what I spend initial 10 minutes to make you understand what and how the session would be conducted and where you are in. So we conducted multiple different topics. Generally in the step-up circles, I try to cover the different topics, generic topics which comes from the community. So this is a session for the whole community. Okay, so let's, without wasting our time, let's jump into the topic. Now, before you understand Advanced Available-to-Promise, first you need to understand कि भैया, what is Available-to-Promise? Available-to-Promise क्या है? If you will try to understand Available-to-Promise, then you will be able to understand कि हाँ, what are the new things is coming in Advanced Available-to-Promise. So what is ATP? A lot of people here would be experienced. I expect experienced people from SD side, PP side would be joining. Can you let me know what is ATP? Quickly on the chat window. Quickly on the chat window. What is ATP? Available to promise. Thank you for the full form. ATP is available to promise enlightenment. But what exactly available to promise? It is used for the product availability check. Okay, that's good, Karthik. Anyone else? Anyone else has any promise to customer to ensure availability of raw material and capacity? Okay, that's the good. That's the good one. So I need a lot of interaction from you. So when I ask a question, make sure you type the answer there so that your focus come back into this training. Otherwise, this virtual training, it is very easy to get defocused, right? A lot of distraction would be there. So always try to use your fingers to type something so that focus come back. Even if you don't know the answer, type something. Type NI, no idea. Now, ATP, available to promise. So what is ATP? What is available to promise? ATP would be available to promise would be what happens when you create a sales order. Okay. You created a sales order, you receive it from your customer, a sales order, you punch into the system. Sales order is having a delivery date of, let's say, 14th of June, 23, right? And quantity is 500. Now, this is what in the sales order, what customer wants. But do you have stock for that? Okay. If I say I am having a stock of 2000, will I be able to supply to the customer? Put yes or no into the chat window. Okay. I got an order from the customer. The quantity is 500. Okay. And the delivery date is 14th June 2023. I got the order today. My on-hand stock available is 2000. So will I be able to make this delivery to the customer? Yes or no? Quickly on the chat. Everyone. Yes, no, no, yes. Yes, Raghavendra said we can do if we have not promised for the other customers. So it's not about the availability of the stock. It's not about the availability of the stock. We need to know if we need to send the confirmation to the customer that, okay, on that date, at that quantity, I would be able to supply. We are not interested into the stock. We are interested in what is my available to promise quantity. Okay, there can be this thing, my on hand stock is 2000, But I have other sales order for the same material from the another customer, and I have already promised them. I have already promised that. So I have existing demand of 1700. Okay, existing demand of 1700, which I have already confirmed it. So my order available to promise quantity become 2000 minus 700, 1700. That is 300. That is my available to promise quantity. So I can commit to my customer based on this quantity. That he requires 500. I can make commitment based on this quantity, that 300 would be there, and 300 commitment I can make it. Sometimes not only the on-hand stock, you need to also consider the open production orders. Maybe you don't have a stock, but by 12th of June, you are having a 500 of production order which will get delivered. It is in process and it will get delivered. Then you need to also consider this 500 production order, or if you are procuring it, there can be a purchase order which will get delivered before 14 June. That also you need to consider. So that will totally depend on the way you do the configuration for ATP, or the way you do the configuration for availability check, whether only on-hand stock need to be considered, or you also want to consider the open purchase orders, open STOs, open production order also. You can consider it as a supply elements. That depends on your configuration, but based on that, you can find it out whether other things can be considered to commit the quantity to get that what is my available to promise quantity. If you are also considering the production order, which is delivering on 12th of June, so for 14th of June, your quantity will become 300 plus 500, 800. Now you have available to promise quantity, and with this available to promise quantity, you would be able to commit and confirm the 500 quantity. So what is going to happen when you create a sales order or you change the sales order? There is an availability check happens. And this availability check use the principles and logic of ATP calculations, available to promise calculation. So availability check would be calculating available to promise, and based on that, it would be defining, or it would be deciding that on a particular date, I have a quantity to confirm or not. If the quantity is there to confirm, what is going to happen? What would be the result of availability check? Now we say that 500 quantities available. What would be the result of availability check? What kind of things will generate in the sales order? Answers on the chat window quickly. What would be the result of the availability check? Quickly, or the chat. No idea? Okay, no idea is very good idea. You will get the idea now. It will provide the delivery date based on the schedule lines will confirm, Prashant said. Yes, that is very correct. Your schedule lines will confirm. So the result would be your schedule lines will get confirmed. In sales order, we have a sales order header, we have a sales order item, and below the items, we have a schedule line. So basically, when we are doing availability check, we are interested to confirm the schedule lines, that based on our stock availability, whether my schedule lines are confirmed, whether I can deliver on that particular date, or system can also suggest that, boss, right now 500 is not there. On this date, my available to promise is 300. I can commit 300 on this date. And then I have a production order in pipeline that would be that I will get delivered on 17th of June or 18th of June. And the rest 200 quantity will be delivered on 18th of June. So system can suggest two schedule lines, one as per the customer demand and one which will be getting in future, which will be able to dispatch in future. So two schedule lines can also be suggested. Multiple schedule line system would be able to split it based on the availability check configurations and when you do the availability check. So that is the whole fundamental of available to promise. This is why, and this is how we do the availability checks, right? This is the purpose of availability check, so that we should be able to commit to our customers. We should be able to confirm to our customers that what we would be able to supply to them, right? That we are interested, and this is the whole thing we want to do it. Now the topics, it looks very simple, right? But based on the configurations and based on the business scenarios, this will become very complicated and tough, right? Now, aATP is a solution which is available. So I have this mind map will go into the N levels. It's a very depth mind map. I'm not going to cover everything because this is a mind map for the full curriculum, which will be starting on 29th. Today's session, I will try that you would be able to understand what is aATP, what is aATP, and what would be the high level functionalities and features would be there in aATP. That much of knowledge you should be able to get it in the today's session. That's the agenda, right? So aATP is available in ECC, Enterprise Core Component. aATP is also available in S4HANA. Both the places the aATP is available. Okay, but in S4HANA, we have advanced functionality that is called Advanced Available to Promise. Okay, aATP, Advanced Available to Promise. Now we'll be talking about the Advanced Available to Promise, but I will take you first to the history. What is the history? Is this the new functionality coming? Now, this functionality was already available, okay, and it was available in the different object. So, have you heard about GATP? Anybody has heard about GATP? What is GATP? Even if you can tell me the full form, that would be good. Anyone has any idea on the GATP? Global Available to Promise. Yes, Global Available to Promise. So, earlier, the basic availability check was available through the ECC, and we were having this kind of structure. We were having our ECC, which is having a basic availability check. And then there was another component which is called, it's still available, it's going to obsolete by 2030, but it is called APO, Advanced Planning and Optimization. Now this is coming into the planning part, okay, that how much of the plan quantity will be able to confirm to the customer. And SAP does not consider ECC as a planning engine. SAP considered the ECC is your transaction system. Neither it's a planning engine, nor it's a reporting part. ECC is just a transactional box. So all the advanced functionality related to planning, SAP has provided through APO. What are the advanced functionality we are talking about? Advanced functionality like PPDS, production planning and detailed scheduling, supply network planning, demand planning, and GATP, Global Available to Promise. So these components was available in APO. So if you want to do the basic ATP, you can do it from here. But if you want to do the advanced ATP, you need to connect your ECC system with APO system, and we use SIP core interface for that to connect both of the system. And then we'll be transferring all the data from ECC, all the required data, your purchase requisition, purchase orders, sales orders, materials, all the data we need to transfer into the APO system. And as soon as the sales order is created, system would be jumping into the APO system through live cache. It would be checking the availability by using this GATP and configuration into the GATP. Then it would be confirming back the sales order into your ECC system. So that connection would be required. Additional system would be required, and additional connection would be required. What SAP has done, SAP came up in 2016, they said that we are coming with S4HANA and we are simplifying the architecture. S4HANA, you have all the SDM and PP modules, you also have ATP. And together with that, if you require functionality of GATP, we also have aATP, Advanced Available to Promise, which is available within S4HANA itself, so that the SIF requirement would not be there. Core interface, connecting the two different systems, doing a redundant data passing from one system to another system, monitoring the connections, that all would not be there, and aATP would be available in S4HANA itself. If you want to use aATP, you can use it. If you want to use aATP, you need to pay additional license cost. Functionalities in aATP would be a lot similar to gATP, but make a note of this thing that aATP and gATP, there is no common code sharing. They don't share the common code. They are the two different objects. This is a different ABAP object. And this is completely different ABAP object which has been created. These two are totally different ABAP objects which has been created, right? gATP is separate and aATP is separate. You will see that aATP, when introduced in 2016, it was having very few features. I would say that very basic level of backorder processing. And in 2017, they have introduced the product allocations. And 2018, 19, 20, 21, they keep on improving the existing functionality and they keep on adding the new functionalities. Now we are having a bunch of things which is available. So in 2016, when I was doing a simple logistics session, we spent only 2 hours on, in simple logistics session, we spent only 2 hours on aATP. Now we need to spend 8 to 10 hours and it will go to up to 12 hours with the new training. That's why I want to create aATP as a separate, because in gATP also, when we were doing APO, we were doing a separate gATP consultant, and there would be a gATP expert APO consultant would be there wherever the gATP need to be used. Same kind of expertise need to be now created in aATP, Advanced Available-to-Promise. But the good thing is that aATP is not improving from gATP, which means if you don't know the gATP, still you would be able to directly learn aATP because it's a completely different object. Okay, that's how if you know the, if you don't know the gATP, you will still be able to learn aATP, all the functionalities. The only thing is required, you should be aware about the basic Available-to-Promise. But what is basic ATP? That you should be aware of. Generally, SD consultants and PP consultant in our mastery course also, we have a configurations for the ATP. So those two consultants would be aware about the Available-to-Promise concepts, and then you would be able to easily learn Advanced Available-to-Promise. Okay. Now I would be jumping into little deeper. You understand the terminologies. Today we are sticking to the terminologies. I want you to, you are going back from today's session, you should be able to understand different terminologies and function features which is available. Then in depth of function features, which application, which settings we need to do it, we'll be jumping from 29th May, we'll be jumping with the aATP course. You can also jump into that course. My team would be sharing a link for same. You can go and book your seat for the course, which is starting from 29th May for the Advanced Available-to-Promise. It will not be very big course. It would be a short course of 10 to 12 hours. And fees also, we have put it a very little fee, not like our mastery courses. But this course, if you have a SD Excellence course, if you have already purchased from us the SD Excellence course, this would be giving to you as a complimentary. Okay, as of now it would be complimentary. After 2 months, we would be detaching aATP from the SD Excellence course, and it would be running as a full-fledged separate course. Okay, so that is now, you know ATP, you know gATP, and at least you know what is aATP at the high level. Now I would be jumping into difference between ATP and aATP. Before I jump into the difference between ATP and aATP at the high level, if you have any question, throw it now quickly on the chat. Throw the questions quickly on the chat. I have few questions. Let me check. What are those? Any question? If you don't have any question, put NQ. Raghavendra has a question that he need to leave for EWM class. I just have SD knowledge. Can I still pick up aATP? Yes, if you have a SD knowledge, if you have a PP knowledge, or if you have MM knowledge, any one basic module, logistics module knowledge you have, you would be able to pick it up with aATP. So Raghavendra, you can definitely do the aATP course. SD and PP consultant are the Ideal, not ideal to do the aATP. Pramod is asking, what is the cost impact on the license? So GATP was a separate product which required a separate license and separate infrastructure also. When it comes to aATP, a separate license would be required, but separate infrastructure would not be there. Now, how much of the license cost would be coming it up? That totally depends on that what is your agreement or how you have negotiated the deal with SAP. That is a gray area where the differences would be a lot. I have seen the clients which has been adopted to S/4HANA and SAP has also given them for few years, they would be able to use aATP for free of cost. Okay, that kind of negotiations also SAP do that to give you more, to bring you an S/4HANA platform. They give also a lot of freebies. So that totally depends on what is your discussion with your client. Kaleshwaran Ramaswamy is asking, aATP has capacity leveling? No, aATP as of now does not have any kind of capacity leveling feature. Right now, you will see that aATP is more focused into the sales side of it. For the production side of it, it does not have that much of capabilities as of now. It's more focused on the sales side of it. Raj is asking, why aATP when there was a GATP? Why अगर GATP था, so why there was a requirement to bring aATP a very... Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos. Valid question. So what was happening here, if you will see, it's not about the GATP. They're dismantling the full APO. Okay, the full APO, they are going to dismantle it. Earlier, the date was 2027, where the support was ending. Now, I think the recent revised date, but I'm not very sure, I need to check, is 2030, by when this need to be revised, right? So what SAP has done, SAP is fully dismantling APO. The reason why SAP is fully dismantling the APO is adoption. Because the adoption to the APO is very poor, okay? Or whatever the company who has adopted to APO, they find it very difficult to sustain with APO because of its complexity in nature. And because of these interfaces between these two also create a lot of differences. So SAP thought of simplifying the things. That's where they started moving the PPDS part. They would be moving it to S/4HANA. SNP, DP, and supply planning, this would be going into your IBP bucket. And GATP, they said it would be provided in S/4HANA itself through aATP. So now what happens here, the GATP you need to do, this APO, PPDS, SNP, it can happen with the SIF once in a day, the data can be transferred and then the planning can be done with the background batch jobs in this. But what happened in the GATP, whenever the sales order is created, at that time, you need to do the availability check, right? When you're saving the sales order, before saving the sales order, you want, when you appoint the sales order, at that time, availability check need to be done. Now, connecting with the separate server, which is on APO, that require a lot of infrastructure dependencies and a lot of resources has been considered to do that to and fro of the data between ECC and S/4HANA. That's why SAP thought that this is the live functionality. Let's bring it on. Let's bring it on into the S/4HANA itself. And when they were bringing it on onto the S/4HANA, they also thought of simplifying it so that it is easy to maintain and it is easy to use for the user. So to do the simplification, they said that we are not removing. So there's a lot of difference when PPDS has moved to S/4HANA and when GATP is coming. PPDS has moved completely, a brick has been moved to S/4HANA. A brick has been removed and moved here. But for aATP, the code has been created from scratch. Because SAP wants to improve a lot of things, the visibility, the how it looks, and how easy it is for an end user to implement, to configure, and to use it. So because of that simplification, from scratch, they have recoded and put it a completely new component as aATP. That was a question from Raj. IBP is linked to aATP. IBP can be linked to aATP, but not very much required. IBP linkages is not required because the functionality is like that, that when you create a sales order, at that time you require to do the availability check, right? And that availability check sales order is created in S4HANA, and aATP availability check also happens in S4HANA. That's why it can be connected, but it does not actually require connection because of the functionality. Emery has a question. Schedule for gamifier SD and MM classes. Emery, the schedule was shared in the morning session. Bhupender Aman, who is there, please give a schedule to Emery. We have shared the schedule in the morning session, Emery. Ashok is saying, what is QATP? Have you heard somewhere QATP, or has anyone here about QATP? What is the full form of QATP? From where you have heard QATP, Ashok? QATP is also very new word to me. I have heard about GATP. I have heard about aATP, but QATP also is very new. If you have heard somewhere, if you have some reference, give it to me. I will try to check. Okay, if there is no questions, we are moving ahead. I have a question from Jagan. Does GATP needs any prerequisite from APO like DP, SNP? No, there is no prerequisite from the okay, your question is GATP. Does GATP needs any prerequisite from APO like DP and SNP? It might be, there might be some prerequisites which would be required, but I am not expert of the GATP. I have not used much of the GATP from APO side, but I was involved into the aATP from 2016 from the beta testing of aATP with one of the implementation partner. So that's why I know more about the aATP, but GATP, it might be, so I'm not very sure for that whether some dependency for DP or SNP would be required. But for aATP, there's no dependency which is required. Arga Roy is asking how aATP benefits and its usage. That's where basically in the next slide I'm going to jump. With the difference between aATP and aATP, first you would be able to understand the high-level differences and the benefits from aATP, and then we'll be jumping ahead. At that point also a lot of terminology will be using, which will be very new to you. That I would be discussing when I am jumping ahead. Okay, so now let's discuss and let's go ahead. What would be the basic difference between aATP and aATP? Let me make it a little bigger. Now, you need to understand when we talk about aATP, aATP available to promise also have few things. Now, a lot of people would not be aware about this terminology. So still hang on. Okay. After this slide, all of this back order processing, product allocation, I'm going to explain you. So if you don't know, just hang on with that terminology. Okay. So back order processing is there in aATP, product allocation is there in aATP, and product availability check is there in aATP. These are the three functions which we are having in aATP. aATP would be having a product availability check. It would be having from back order processing, it would be having advanced back order processing, and advanced product allocation would be there, and much more functionalities which will be getting added into the aATP. What does that mean? That means if we talk about aATP, aATP is basically work onto the calculations, availability calculation, which is basic in nature. Okay, it would be doing a basic availability check calculation. However, aATP would be able to do the dynamic calculations check. Okay, the strategies which has been used for the aATP would be much deeper, specifically when it will come to the back order processing. So aATP would be able to do it, the much more complex calculations, and it would be, its calculations would be dynamic in nature. Okay, where basically what happens in normal availability check, which we do it in SAP, whatever our priority is there, customer priority is there, or the delivery priority is there, that depends on the delivery priority indicators, right? Or based on those things. And if a customer is having a priority A, it's always remains in aATP, the priority remains only A. With aATP, you can define the dynamic priorities, where today for a particular customer, my priority is A. But if the customer wants me to deliver after 3 months, then that become a priority B for me. And if it is a lower customer, which is not a diamond customer for me, he needs something in the next week, that become a more priority to me. That kind of dynamics, rules and logics would be available in aATP, which is not available in aATP. aATP does not gives you the simulations. You cannot do a lot of simulation and check that, okay, with this logic, if I do the simulation of my availability check, what would be the outcome, which products will go higher, which will go lower, what would be the percentage changes. All these analytics, all these simulations is not given through the aATP, but aATP would be able to give you the interactive simulations with the KPI figures, that if we are doing this availability check batch job run, how the availability of the different materials to the customers is going to change, which will increase, which customer the availability will increase for, and for which customer the availability can be decreased, right? All of these calculations and the simulations, you would be able to check it before, and then you will say, okay, go ahead with it. So that aATP back order processing is a static calculation, and here the calculations in aATP would be able to do the dynamic calculations. aATP product back order processing would be very easy to maintain. The Fiori application would be there. There is very less configurations. SPRO configurations are not there. This is a lot depend on the SPRO configurations. Okay, we'll be able to do the simulation. There are the bucket strategies which you would be able to apply it. aATP product allocation is very basic in nature. With aATP, you would be able to put advanced product allocation, which would be having very easy maintenance. There are 15-16 steps for the product allocation. Here within the 3 steps, you would be able to set up your product allocation, and there is a full graphics with the analytics available to analyze your product allocations. If you don't know what is product allocation, just stay on. I'm going to explain it. Many advanced functionalities are missing in aATP. Your plant substitution is not there, product substitution is not there, supply production is not there, allocation run is not there. All new terminologies, right? Wait on, I would explain one by one. At least you should be able to understand what is this terminology means from the business perspective, that you should be learning from the today's session. But all of these functionalities mentioned here, this is not available with the aATP. So these all additional functionalities, simplification to maintain it, and to do the dynamic calculation is the key part in aATP, which is not available in aATP. Okay. Now, step by step, I will jump into the details. First, I will jump into the back order processing. But before I jump into the back order processing, let me check if we have any kind of questions. Any questions till now? Quickly on the chat window. Put NQ if you don't have any question. Meantime, Bhupender, please share the aATP course link also. If anybody wants to join the aATP course, please share that link also. You can also subscribe to our SD Excellence course. With that course also, you will get it the aATP by default. Okay, if we don't have any question, let's proceed ahead. aATP would be done by myself. I would be going through the aATP classes. Okay. Now let's discuss what is back order processing. Now, in the back order processing, you need to understand how the back order processing happens and why the back order processing is required. I will quickly create a graph so that you would be able to understand the back order processing. So let's say I am having this is my stock. I'm having a stock of 200. Okay. And I don't have any orders. This is, let's say, in the month of May. Then we have June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay. In the month of November, I got a book order that I need to deliver in November. I got an order of 200 quantity. This is my sales order 1. When the sales order 1 was created, my ATP quantity was, there is no demand stock of 200, my ATP quantity was 200. And when the sales order 1 is created, based on this stock, you would be able to confirm that my sales order 1 is confirmed. I have a stock and this order will get confirmed. Okay, because the stock is available. Then what happens? You get another order of sales order in the month of July. You got a sales order 2 of 100 quantity. Now, my question to you is, you need to answer it, and everybody need to be tentative in the class and answer it so that you would be able to understand. In this situation, when I got a sales order 2 as 100, whether my sales order 2 would be confirmed? Whether my sales order 2 would be confirmed? Yes or no? Quickly on the chat. Some people said yes, some people said no. The people who said yes, how, from where the quantity would be coming? We don't have a quantity, right? Sales order 1 has taken the requirement. So my ATP quantity, when the sales order 2 came, my ATP quantity become 200 minus 200. It's already 0. So for sales order 2, I don't have ATP quantity available. So sales order 2 will become unconfirmed. Sales order 2 would be becoming unconfirmed, right? Now, there can be two things can be there, right? One thing can be there, you do the, you want to do now here, now this sales order will become your back order. This sales order has become a back order, which is created but not confirmed. One situation you can say that, boss, you give this quantity 100 to this one and reduce this confirmation from 200 to 100. Okay, because this I need to deliver in July. From July to August, September, October, I would be having enough time to work on it or to make sure that the further quantities can be delivered, right? So that you need to do it in the back order processing, you need to fix it. Or other thing can happen, you have your MRP has been run or production team has been created order after the sales order 1 and 2 has been punched. Production team said that in the month of September, I would be delivering the 150 more quantity. Now, in this case, when you are having a 150 more quantity in the month of September, right now, your July order is not confirmed. Your November order is confirmed. So that is a situation which happens into the confirmation which need to be fixed. These situations would be fixed by the back order processing. Now, what back order processing would be saying that this quantity, this sales order 100, let's fill from this stock. Let's assign this sales order 2 with this quantity and let's make it as a confirmed, right? And then we have a 150 quantity available here and remaining 100 is available here. I would be having a 250 quantity and based on this one, this 150 and then remaining 50 can be allocated to this one. 50 from this one, and your sales order 2 can be confirmed from this requirement and this requirement combination. So in this case, what will happen when you run the back order processing, your sales order 2 also get confirmed and sales order 1 also get confirmed. So these kind of situations we need to correct in the system by running a back order processing, right? That is the back order processing. Karthik is saying there is a process called delivery priority of the customer that will help to do back order processing. Yes, delivery priority to the customer will be definitely helping to the back order processing. That also help in the aATP also and in aATP also. But the additional thing which you will get in aATP is a dynamic rule. Dynamic rules means that if you are having, you say that this is my diamond customer, which is very important, right? And this sales order 2 is coming from a gold customer. But still, in this situation, I would prefer my gold customer. My gold customer would be more priority. Why? Because I need to ship him in the month of July. This diamond customer wants me in the month of November. I still have a lot of months to make sure I can get the supply, I can get it produced and give it to them. So now what will happen based on the time frame combination, try to understand based on the time frame combination, if my diamond customer is very far and if my gold customer is next week or next month, gold customer become a more priority as of now today to me. But when this order will be coming near to me, its priority will automatically increase. So if I would be sitting in the month of August or September, after 3 months, this priority, the diamond customer priority or this sales order priority will automatically increase for me, because the today's date and the delivery date difference will be reduced. So based on that, I would be able to take it in priority. That is called the dynamic calculations. That is jumping into the dynamic buckets, right? So that kind of bucket configurations would be available in aATP backorder processing, which is not available in aATP. Where not only the customer priority, but dynamically you would be able to understand based on the time logics that if tomorrow delivery need to be made, that customer, that sales order might be having a more priority. Although you have mentioned another customer which you need to deliver after 2 months is a more priority in the master data. Okay, so that kind of intelligent logics you would be able to do it with aATP, which is not available with aATP. Everybody understand what is backorder processing and why it is required? Any question on the backorder processing? Any question on the backorder processing? Okay, if there is no question on the backorder processing, let's proceed ahead. Let's proceed ahead. So you understand what is backorder processing. Now you need to understand one example I have given, that how the dynamic calculation can be happened from the backorder processing, that you would be able to do with aATP. During our training session, we'll be jumping into the detail that what are the logics are there. There would be bucket logics. I will just showcase you quickly the advanced backorder processing. So we try to understand what is backorder processing. These are the bucket strategy we'll be having. We'll be having a win strategy, gain strategy, redistribute strategy, fill strategy, lose strategy. And these strategies will be having a particular logic which we need to define. And based on the logic, system would be identifying which sales order is going into the win, which sales order is going into the lose. And based on that, allocation, reallocation would be happening during your backorder processing batch jobs. Okay, so that all in detail and with the system example and running a scenario in the system, we would be doing within aATP. The second class would be of the backorder processing, where we'll be jumping in detail of the backorder processing. Okay, I hope now you would be able to understand what is the backorder processing. Now I'm jumping into the second part. Second part is product allocation. What is product allocation and where the product allocations would be used? Second part is product allocation. Now product allocation would be used in this way. So let's say you are having a customer. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos. A, B, and C. And you are having a month, January, February, March, or let me do it other way around. January, February, March. I'm giving you example based on the customer, but it can be any characteristics or it can be the combination of characteristics. And when we'll be saying characteristics here, it's not the SAP characteristics. No, it's just an attribute. We need not to create the SAP specific characteristics here. Just attribute. So let's say you are having a customer A, customer B, and customer C. And then you define your values here that for the month of January, I want to allocate 500 to this customer, 200 to this customer, and 300 to this customer. Total demand you have been expected of 1000. In month of February, you said that I would be doing 700, 200, 300. This is the allocation you want to do it. And then 400, 400, 400. So what you are doing it based on your experience, you are saying that in month of January, customer A should be having a allocation of 500 quantity. Okay, customer A should be having allocation of 500 quantity. The 500 quantity is allocated for customer A. That's what we are defining here into the product allocation. I'm defining at the customer level, but I will give you an example where in which business scenario it will be used. Let's say iPhone has launched a new phone, iPhone 14, and there's a demand across the world, right? If they will, whatever the things they produce, if all the inventory they will put it to the India would be able to consume all of the first batch of the iPhone 14 inventory, right? But they don't want to put everything to India. They want to strategically distribute the quantity. They want to make sure that in each region their product goes, first lot goes, that creates more demand in the market. So they want to say that this customer A can be India, USA, China. They want to distribute, they want to allocate, that maybe the orders are there, but we want to strategically allocate. These all strategies will be coming into the picture where you would be having a high demand and low supply. Where your demand is more, but the supply is less. That point of time, you need to do this allocation, back order processing, product availability check, everything will make more sense. If you say I have a more supply, I have a tons of supply, I don't have a demand, then all these things you don't need it. These things will make more sense for you when your demand is high and supply is low. Then you need to make sure that your limited supply is strategically divided into the different markets or to the different customers. Okay, so you would be requiring to do the allocations, and this is how the allocations you can mention it. Then what would be happening? Let's say if you are having a stock here of 700 and customer A in January has placed an order for 600, your system would be saying that the maximum allocation quantity for the customer A is 500. Although your stock is available, although the stock is available, aATP quantity available to promise quantity would be available, but the product allocation is not available. So system would be saying that I can confirm only 500. 100 quantity would be unconfirmed because it has been allocated for the other people's. For other people, it has been allocated. So that is how the product allocation would be working. Now, product allocation, it was there in ECC and it is also there in S4HANA. But ECC product allocation is very difficult. There are the multiple configurations you need to do and 16 steps you need to do, including master data maintenance, to activate the product allocation. And then you don't have analytics available, you don't have an analysis available, you don't have a combination of characteristics, and which combination of characteristics is having what impact. That kind of things will not be available. These all things would be available in aATP. Advanced Available-to-Promise, no SPRO configurations are required. They are the 3 steps which you will require to configure this in the system through the Fiori applications. And you would be having a proper analytics available that based on which characteristics value combination, what kind of allocations and the constraint has been put it, by which system has confirmed the quantity or system has not confirmed the quantity. All details you will be able to get it from the Fiori applications. That is another functionality of aATP, which is called product allocation. Any question on the product allocation? Now, with this explanation, you would be able to understand what is the product allocation. Any questions on the product allocation? I have a detailed mind map. We'll be jumping when we go into the training. We'll be going through into the Product allocations, how we do the product allocation, what are the steps are required, what are the configurations are required to do the product allocations, which Fiori applications we need to use it. Just to give you a glimpse of to you by the time you are doing it. So these are the product allocation application which we will be using it to configure the product allocation, to set up the product allocation in S/4HANA. Fiori is mandatory. Without Fiori, you will not be able to do it. Let me check if we have any questions. If you don't have any questions, put NQ in the chat window. Everyone, NQ in the chat window if you don't have any question. I have two questions. One is, when do you run back order processing? So back order processing will be running with the batch jobs. Generally, we would be doing a back order processing on a daily batch job run. It need to be scheduled before your delivery creation batch job. So you would be having a batch job which will be creating your outbound deliveries. Before that batch job start, you need to make sure that your back order processing batch job finish, because once your sales order will schedule lines will confirm, then only your deliveries would be able to get it created, right? So before delivery creation batch job, your back order processing batch job should get finished. Another question, can you accumulate non-delivered quantities to the following month? Can you accumulate non-delivered quantities to the following month? Yes, you can do it. There is a specific configuration available, not the configuration. We call it as a key settings, which is available, which we do it in the product allocation. There you will be able to see that how many months advance or how many months back product allocation would be able to go. So if the only order you receive is 400 here, but in the month of February, you got an order of 800. So this 700 can be consumed and the previous month 100 also can be consumed. But that settings need to be done for that how many months or how many days backward and forward we would be able to go to do the consumption of the product allocation quantities. Okay, with that setting maintained, you would be able to do backwards and you would also be able to do the forwards. That would be possible. Yes, okay. If that functionality is not available in ECC, that functionality is very much available in S/4HANA. So now you understand aATP, you understand aATP, you know what was the GATP. Okay, you understand back order processing, what was the back order processing, and you also understand what is the product allocation from the definition and from the business perspective, you understand it, right? Now let me jump into the further more functionalities which aATP has. aATP also has the functionality of substitutions. Okay, we are having a substitutions. Now ABC is also part of the substitution, but let me explain you that for what purpose the substitution would be used. So what will be happen? You created a sales order for material A of 500 quantity. Your system find that material A is not available. Material A is, let's say, the sugar 100 kg bag, right? But we are having a substitute material available, material B, okay? That is sugar 50 kg bag. And generally, if you are having an order for 100 kg bag, but if you send it the 50 kg bag, your customers are okay with that. They don't have any problem. So what we want here, we want to substitute this A based on the material availability to the material B. And this quantity 500, because this is 100 kg, this is 50 kg, need to be changed to the 1000 quantity. So within the sales order, what we want to do, we want to substitute product or material and quantity also we want to substitute. If that substitution need to happen, that is called the substitution functionality, which would be available, which was not available with aATP, but it would be available with aATP, Advanced Available-to-Promise. We would be having this functionality if you have maintained the substitution chain. You would be able to substitute from product A to product B based on the availability. Based on the availability constraint, you would be able to substitute product A to product B. Apart from the product substitution, you would also be having a more substitution. You can also substitute your storage location. So system would be able to check your storage location availability. If storage location A does not have a material, but storage location B has a material, within the sales order, system would be able to replace the storage location also automatically. It would be able to replace storage location A to storage location B. So that is called the substitution functionality, which is coming with the aATP, Advanced Available-to-Promise. Okay, so this is the usage. If the product is unavailable, you can do the substitution. Upgraded version of the product is available. Okay, of the new upgraded version of the product is available. For that also, you can do the substitution. So there's in the specific dates, okay, specific dates of the promotion dates. You want to give a specific materials for the promotion material you want to send it. That kind of substitution also you can do it. A product which has been asked that has been discontinued and now we have a new product available. For that case also you can do the substitution. Okay, now this would be more better functionality to handle the substitutes. Raj is asking product allocation with substitution. Is that right? Yes, product allocation with substitution, but you need to get a deeper check because this substitution functionality is very new. Okay. And based on that, you need to check whether with all the combination of product allocation and the back order processing, it is working fine or not. Initial stages, we found that the back order processing and the product allocation combination of both was not working during 2017 and 18, and it started working in 2019 onwards. Okay, so whenever you are checking this functionality, this is a new functionality. Make sure all the scenario you check in deeper. So we'll be jumping into the detail of substitutions when we jump into our training sessions. Apart from that, we have another functionality which is now linked with the substitution. Earlier, it was not linked. Earlier, it came as a separate functionality, alternate base confirmation. Now, alternate base confirmation is also linked with the substitution with the new versions. So what is alternate base confirmation? ABC check. ABC check is you are having here distribution center. A. Then you have another distribution center, B, which is nearby, and your customer placed the order to distribution center A with 500 quantity. And this distribution center is having a 5,000 quantity stock. And here the stock is 0. So when this order came from the plant A, okay, or your distribution center or warehouse A, for 500 quantity, you don't have a material available in the A. Okay, the supply from A is a manufacturing plant. And if you don't have anything available in the manufacturing plant also, it will start a production order in the manufacturing plant in the normal scenario. But the better scenario is that why not in the sales order, you change the plant and you deliver it from the B. Okay, why don't you change it and deliver it from the B? So that's what would be happening with ABC configuration when you will be setting it up. When you punch an order of 500 quantity here in the line item, system will say that you are booking an order for A, but I have availability available for B, and plant A would be replaced by the plant B in the sales order. You are creating a sales order for plant A, but during the availability check, system find that the plant A does not have a stock, and then it would be moved to the plant B. Plant B has a stock, so it will replace your plant in the sales order from plant A to plant B. That we also call it that the plant determination is happening based on the availability checks. Okay, this functionality was also available in GATP. It's called rule-based allocation. So now it is available as a ABC or a substitution functionality for the plants. Okay, so that would be the alternate base confirmation. That's a very useful functionality. We used to have this functionality from the clients earlier, but we were not able to deliver it. We used to use a GATP. For GATP, they need to go for APO. Now within S4HANA itself, they would be able to go and do the plant substitution automatically based on the defined rules. So you would be able to substitute material. You would be able to substitute your story location. You would also be able to substitute your plant based on the availability checks. That will happen with aATP. Then we have two more functionalities. One is supply protection and another is supply assignment run. Now the things will become more complexer. So I will not go in deep, but at least you should be able to understand what is supply protection and what is supply assignment run. That much of things you need to understand it. Supply protection would be there where you would be protecting your supply. So basically the difference is there's a very minute difference between supply protection and the allocation run. So in the allocation run, we have mentioned that in the month of January, February, March, we have mentioned the quantities, right? In the supply production, let's say I'm defining it for my countries, India, USA, China. I would be mentioning my quantity here 500, 100, 200. So with this supply protection, what will happen? System will protect minimum 500 quantity when we do the product allocation. That is the maximum allocation. And this is kind of a minimum protection. Minimum how much need to be protected for a combination. It can be a combination of sales organization, country, or the customer, or it can be only customer, or it can be any different characteristics you will be able to combine, and you would be able to protect the quantity against it. So what is going to happen here? Let's say if you're having a stock of 700, okay, and if the stock is 700 is there and there's a order for India for 600, system will say that 500 is definitely protected here. I would be able to supply 500. Okay, but after this protection, there is also a protection for USA. There is also protection for China, 200. So I would not be able to provide you the another 100 quantity, although there is no sales order, although there is nothing other demand available. System would not be able to provide you because there is for USA and China already 100 and 200 quantity has been protected. Even if your stock increased by quantity 200, still system will say that I have a production, I need to do the production for China, I need to do the production for USA. So the total quantity 500, 600 and 200. Till quantity 800, system will doing this protection. System will be distributing as per the protection. Let's say if you're having a quantity 1200. So a system will say that out of 1200, 800 has been already protected and the remaining is 400. So this would be your available to promise after the protections. Okay. If this situation is there and if you are getting an order for India 800, system you would be able to confirm because 500 is coming from the protection and there is an available quantity of 400. From their system would be able to consume another 300 and system would be able to confirm it. That is called supply protection. So protection, supply protection, we are putting a minimum quantity to protect. In product allocation, we are putting maximum quantity to be allocated. That would be the difference between the supply protection and the product allocation. Any questions on to the supply protection or into the product allocations? That difference, you should understand it clearly. Fozia is asking if change plant it effect on cost. As of now, not. So these functionality we are expecting it will increase. It will increase based on the time. As of now, based on the cost, system does not consider it. But you have a plant that whether the plant A can be substituted with B or B can be substituted with C. That kind of configuration set you need to do it through Fiori applications. But as of now, system does not consider cost. Okay, I will just take 5 more minutes to complete the assignment, supply assignment run, and then we'll be jumping into the question and answer session. A run, supply assignment run. Now, what happened with the supply assignment run? Basically, what is allocation run? You would be able to understand with this requirement, with this diagram. Okay, so let's say you are having the stock of 100 here, right? And you got an order of sales order of 100 here on 20th of October, which system has considered, okay, the stock was available here and the order is available here. Okay, based on that, allocation has been done and sales order 1 got confirmed. Okay, now you say that this is my diamond customer. I have already requested him the date. I have already confirmed the date. I don't want to change this allocation. This is fixed. I don't want to disturb that, right? Then you get another sales order of quantity 50. On 1st of October, you get it, right? 1st of October. To fulfill the quantity on 1st of October, when you run MRP, you consider that by September end, system should generate a purchase requisition or purchase order so that your material can be available in the September. But what is going to happen? System will not create a production order in September. System MRP will think that this stock is available. And then after this stock, we are having this sales order available. Still, I'm not in negative. System will be considering. And on the 20th October, I'm getting negative. So system would be having your purchase order delivery date or production order delivery date would be created for the 19th of October. But you want your production orders here because this stock you have already considered it. You don't want to disturb it. You want your sales orders or you want your production orders to be created by 30th of September here. But MRP will not be doing. MRP would be creating here. Why MRP would be not be doing? Because the allocations which we are doing it, these all are soft allocation. MRP does not consider them. So if you want to consider in the MRP, we need to do the fixed pegging. So this connection between this demand and this supply is not fixed, right? You need to fixed package that this stock is now assigned for this order. So that fixed pegging you need to do it so that MRP can understand here at the start of the September, whatever the stock I have, that has been already considered for a sales order, which we need to deliver it later on, right? So in that case, we need to do the fixed pegging. How the fixed pegging would be happening? We'll be doing it's also called A run. Allocation run batch job would be running. And this batch job allocation run, this would fix the pegging. This will do the hard marrying. The both will get married together. Okay, so that MRP consider that this stock has been married to this particular sales order, and it would be generating MRP proposals accordingly. That's called the allocation run or supply allocation run or A run. These are the different terminologies are available. Okay, so with this explanation, I'm ending our today's topic of aATP overview. I hope you would be having now the overview of the different functionalities in aATP. We'll be jumping into the detail in our detailed aATP trainings, which would be starting from the 29th of May. 29th of May, we'll be jumping into the detailed aATP trainings. If you have any questions on aATP, you can ask it now, and then we'll be jumping into the questions which is specific to the career-related question. If you have any career-related question, we'll jump into that. But before that, if you have any specific questions, you can ask it now. The link has been provided for aATP. If you want to join the aATP course, you can check the link and you can get yourself enrolled. I hope now you would be able to clear with at least the definition. What is ATP? What is aATP? How aATP is different from GATP? What is backorder processing? What is substitution? What is ABC, alternate base confirmation? What is supplier protection? What is supply assignment run? That functionality you would be able to understand it now. Duration of the course would be, it will be between 10 to 12 hours of course. So aATP course would be between 10 to 12 hours of course. The cost of the course, you can click on the link and you can get it checked from there. Duration of the SD Excellence course would be 30 hours of instructor-led training. SD Excellence is 30 hours of instructor-led training, and then you can get it added few hours of this aATP also. So Bhupinder, please also share the SD Excellence course. SD Excellence, right now we are running it as a part of SD Excellence. We would be doing the next batch, instructor-led batch of SD Excellence in the month of August. For Excellence, every year we do the 2 batches, and we give you the access for the full year so that you would be able to join all the live sessions during the year. So aATP will be starting from the end of May, and then again from August we'll be starting Excellence from start. We'll first do the SD Excellence and then we'll jump into the aATP. Okay, if you don't have any questions on aATP, if you have any career-related question, there are a couple of people asking me that my calendar is booked, you're not getting time. You can utilize today's time to ask your specific career-related questions. Job scope for aATP. So first thing, that who can do the aATP? aATP cannot be done by the freshers because the requirement would be for the experienced consultant. So the SD consultants, MM consultants, or the PP consultant, they would be able to do the aATP, and they would be able to get the jobs in the aATP area. aATP would be required a lot with combination of SD, where the S4HANA project is happening, and then aATP, not that detailed functionality. People are only using, let's say, backorder processing. Then the SD consultant need to also cover the aATP part. That's where a lot of job opportunities will come, where the SD implementation is going on, and business is also adopting to aATP. They would prefer to have a consultant who knows both, who knows SD also and aATP also. That's creating a lot of job opportunities. Then people would be moving, the companies would be moving from GATP to aATP. The companies who have adopted to GATP, they would be moving to aATP. So that movement to aATP also would require a lot of aATP consultants. They need to pitch in, and they would be basically helping the clients to move from GATP to aATP. That is also bringing a lot of aATP opportunities. As I told you that for myself itself, I got in last 2-3 months at least 4 requirements where I need to join a project only for the aATP part. Third thing, the new clients who is now adopting to the functionality, GATP, SAP is not allowing them to go to GATP. So all the new clients need to adopt directly to aATP. That is also creating a requirement for the aATP consultants. So that is the job opportunities in aATP. Any other questions? So let me check who are the people requesting the questions. Amit Keswani, if you are available, you can ask your questions. You said calendar is full. Gyana Sahu also, you can go ahead and ask your question. On-site scope. So whatever the requirement, the 4 requirement I have been asking, they all come from the Europe. So there is an on-site scope, but all the 4 requirements was having a requirement that I would be able to work from my location, from my home location, and then I would be able to from remote, I would be able to support for the aATP implementation. There was one country specifically they wanted to be on-site availability. So a lot of on-site availabilities and requirements are also available for aATP. Always the people who are looking for on-site, I always tell them try to go for the niche modules, try to go for TM, aATP. These are the niche modules which companies have been started adopting for it, but there are not enough resources available. That's where you will be getting a good chance to get a very good on-site opportunities. Okay, with that, we are jumping into the third segment of the career counseling. Anybody is having a career-related question, feel free to put in. I already have one question from Amit. Since last 4.5 years, I am into my family business. My education background is BE Textile, Technology and MBA Marketing. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos. In my last job, I was a manager in sales in yarn industry. I'm having a SAP end user experience for 1.5 years, total 3 years. I want to join SAP SD Mastery. Is it going to help me or you will suggest me something else? Textile, MBA Marketing, manager in sales and SAP SD end user. So if you are SAP SD end user, you are perfect to go for SAP SD Mastery course. Amit, that would be helping you a lot. If you want to start your career in SAP, I think SAP SD Mastery is the best course for you. You should go ahead with it because you have SAP SD end user experience. That end user experience will try to convert into a core user experience to showcase in your profile. And then with the excellence, with the mastery knowledge, you should be able to apply for the jobs. Raj is asking, are aATP implementation successful and many clients adopting to this, please? aATP came in 2016. From 2016, 17, 18, 19, these 4 years, we have hardly seen any aATP implementations. From 2020, SAP started customers started their interest towards aATP because then the functionality become bigger. In 2019, the functionality which was introduced, 18, which was introduced for ABC, that was not even a usable condition. 2017, when the product allocation was available, that also because the analytics was not available, it was not possible to drill down that which characteristics is creating which requirement in the product allocations. But from 20 and specifically from 2021, we have seen the pickup on to the aATP market, but still it is picking it up. Still the pickup has started. I'm expecting that a lot of customers from 2025 onwards would be heavily looking forwards for the aATP because APO will end and the GATP need to move to the aATP part, right? So adoption, I would say, has been started from 2021. There is a clients companies who has adopted aATP, but not that high. Adoption has just started picking it up for aATP. It's a very right time to become early birds because early birds get the better opportunities. Learning these would be definitely added advantage, and already there are the requirements are there for the aATP consultant, which you would be able to apply for. Okay, I don't see any another question. So with this information, we are ending our today's session here, and we'll get connected again on the next Sunday with the new topic. The topic name we have not decided yet. I will let you know that what topic we'll be covering it in the next upcoming Sunday, and we'll join you for the next session. But I think it would be somewhere around related to the new advanced SD functionalities, the customer experience I want to share with you, which has been introduced in SAP SD. I think it is introduced in 2021 version. That is what we'll be talking about. But we have not confirmed that topic, but mostly it would be that topic. Okay, so we'll catch you in the next Sunday evening in the Step Up Circles. Thank you everyone for joining today. Bye-bye for now.